I'm going to attempt to address the question, how much can you fit in a Pelican? Brown pelicans feed on mid-sized fish and invertebrate. They require up to 4 pounds of food per day. Well, that's the answer, folks. 4 pounds. Zahn here from Smoke, the event photography company here in New Zealand. I love pelicans. I'm going to show you today what's in my Pelican. Bingo! Flamingo. Are pelicans and flamingos the same thing? Let's get into it. First of all, you see that I have a laptop. Why do I have a laptop? Well, sometimes I need to travel overseas and I want to have that with me when I go on the plane. Other times I would be going to an event doing some editing. This is an old laptop, 2018 i9. I've got the worst laptop in the entire office. Next, we have the Hold Fast Money Makers, best name ever, because that's what they do, they help us make money. You'll notice I don't have the safety straps on there. There's these little plastic straps that go from here to your camera so that if you don't really trust the main clip and that were to fail, your camera wouldn't fall on the ground. But I don't use them and I've never had it fail on me. Next we have our bodies. I shoot Nikon. This is a Nikon Z9. I have had Nikon since my first camera, which was a Nikon a Nikon D70S. The Nikon is an amazing body, but their rubber is infuriatingly shit. So every Nikon shooter will know what I'm talking about, where the rubber starts coming off immediately. This thing's missing, this is coming off, both bodies. So Nikon do better. When you spend $10,000 on a body, you don't want to be let down by those little things. Shooting events, you need to have redundancies because there's no retakes. So we have 2 of those. With everything in this kit, we want it to be that anything can fail, there'll always be something else to replace it. I obviously want to shoot 2 bodies so I don't have to change lenses all the time, but if one of them were to fail, we're still good. What's inside this? Well, the most insane battery in the world. It's the ENEL14D. ENEL18D. I was close. I've shot events for, let's say, like an Indian wedding starting at 5 AM, finishing at midnight. That many hours. I've never had to change a battery. I've shot 10,000 plus frames per body, never had to change a battery. They're the most insane batteries in the world. I do have a spare battery because I'm a professional, but I've literally never used it. We also have 512 gigabyte CF Express Type B cards, 13,000 frames per body, so I can shoot 26,000 frames in an event without changing battery and without changing cards. Beat that, Sony. We're shooting this on Sony. We have our lenses. We have the range all the way from 14 to 200. And if you consider the fact that it's a 15 megapixel body, you could crop that in a little bit and then it would become like a 300. We want to have a redundancy for every single piece of the range so that if any lens were to fail by dropping it, then you have something else that you can continue shooting with. This is the 14 to 24mm 2.8. Yes, I have the 20mm 1.8. We have a 35mm 1.8. 60 to 70% of all photos I take are on a 35mm 1.8. Nikon just released a 1.2 version of this, which is really expensive, but I'm gonna buy it anyway because I'm irresponsible. 50mm 1.2. The 70 to 200 2.8S. Okay, lens is done. Let's talk about flash. Anytime that there's not clean light naturally, we use flash because we'd rather have clean light artificially and have to work a little bit harder to take the photo than have to work really hard in the edit to unfuck it. These are the Godox V863N. N just means Nikon. Most of the time, I shoot like that with a mag sphere on it, also known as a mag boob. With this, you're throwing a little bit of light forward and a lot of the light coming from the ceiling, and it's a perfect balance. By the way, can you just appreciate how much shit came out of this little case so far? So we've got 2 of those, redundancies. Usually we would run 1 on each body if we're just rolling around, but things do get heavy, so sometimes I'll just have one on one body, and then if I, for one shot, need to flick over to flash, I just take it from one body to the other, and then we get into the real nitty gritty. Obviously these, incredible mag sphere, you gotta have that, and then you gotta have the rubber grip, that's called a mag grip, those things together, shunk. Why do we like these? Well, as you're walking around like this, just to make the visual more easy to imagine, you're walking around like this, because your camera, hang on, make it even more easier to imagine. Hanging off the side of your body, all the knockoff brands of Magmod, this thing just falls off. You need to have such strong magnets for it to stay on. Let's get granular. Breath mints, business card, card reader, empty CF Express Type B holders. We also have a trigger. You can also use these as triggers. So if I'm wanting to do off-camera flash, or if I'm shooting a media wall, I can have this triggering that, But if that were to fail, I can hit that, triggering that. And then if these both were to fail, I guess I'd just be a bit triggered. I've never used this spare card, but I have a spare 512 card in case of card failure. Obviously some of these AAs, don't bother with rechargeables. These are so cheap. And then of course, Temu, 50 pack of little flesh covered earbuds. And then now we're down to the actual Pelican itself. This is the Trek Pack insert. Again, this is old, like 7 years maybe. Totally reconfigurable as well. You can fit 2 Godox 8400s in this that way with the batteries detached. Pop the batteries up here, have your bodies. You'd probably have to forego a couple of lenses, but you can actually fit those big flashes inside this Pelican. Make sure you spend the extra money to get the Air model because the other ones are so heavy. Make sure that you get the Trek Pack insert, not the foam, because that foam falls to bits within a year and looks like shit, and then you have to replace it. Replace the wheels on your Pelican. When you first get them, they have these big fat wheels that have terrible bearings and they're really, really noisy. So you roll around at the event and they'll hear you coming from a mile away. You sound like a complete dickhead. Can you hear that? Neither can I. Anyway, I'm sure there'll be other things I wished I'd put in this video because I've got lots to say about Pelicans, but for now, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, let me know your thoughts, ask me questions and I'll answer them about Pelicans or about anything to do with event photography. Maybe that's a good way to wrap this video. Cool, cut.